I have heard more people say the word supply chain in the last since the first of the pandemic than I have the rest, my entire life.
Perhaps something we took for granted when things were flowing just fine.
We've been really good at saying, I want to have access to everything. Well, if you walk in a supermarket these days, I'm not sure where you're located, but there are some areas when you walk through, those aisles are empty. And that's a supply chain issue.
Otherwise known as the cycle of producing and delivering a product or service from start to finish. We start with the sourcing and removal of raw materials. Then, by boat, plane, train, you get the point. They're taken to a supplier. Then a manufacturer turns the raw materials into a finished product. That product moves to a distributor that sends it to a retailer who then sells it to the consumer.
I think the easiest way to kind of explain that is, when you were a kid and you played dominoes and you stack them all up. And if you take one domino out or something happens to one domino, right, the whole chain doesn't work.
Lance Saunders, an assistant professor of supply chain management at the University of Tennessee, says it seems something has happened to nearly every domino. This entire cycle relies on supply and demand.
That's what we do, is we try to balance the supply coming in to not just store shelves, but the supplier of who makes whatever you're purchasing on that store shelf. And balancing that supply with that demand downstream is just really hard. And right now, until it balances itself out, you're going to keep seeing these things occur.
Bill Thayer, an industry expert, says we are now in the midst of the biggest supply chain disruption since World War II. Here's why.
During 2020, with the beginning of the pandemic, that was sort of the first wave. All stores shut down. E-commerce grew 10 years of growth in 18 months. So in the second wave, which was really the beginning of 2021, is all that pent up demand for customers that wanted to buy online, right? Online did not drop off, but stores opened up again, right? So all that demand that was backed up started moving towards the retailers.
Now that all of the stores are open and e-commerce is still rolling, everything's exacerbated.
When you look at what's going to happen fourth quarter this year, because of e-commerce, that e-commerce growth that is not dissipated, there's not enough warehouse space, there's not enough drivers, and there's not enough parcel carriers to get freight to individuals.
And that is why we're seeing empty store shelves. Erica Francis, News 2.